Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
Good morning. You know what, my audience? I've decided to give you a double entendre today. Now, that's a little bit out of the realm of what we usually do on How Can This Happen? The reason for this is we are constantly being bombarded on the left with how they are right and we are wrong. Well, they've just been given notice that we're no longer buying their BS. Nope. Time to end it. Time to take inventory. So that is why the name of my show today on How Can This Happen? This is Betsey Bell, and I'm here to tell you, Democrats think they're right. Well, the first part of the show is called Never Before. Part 2 is, do they see the light? And then, to stop you in your tracks. Part 3 is called Not So Fast. Okay, why are we proposing this, my audience? Because San Francisco Mayor-elect Daniel Lurie is going to have to tackle the city's nearly billion-dollar budget deficit when he takes office on January 8th, and he may be forced to cut staff and services to overcome a shortfall of the city's own creation. Now, how can that happen? San Francisco imposed draconian lockdown policies during the coronavirus pandemic, while also adopting lax policing policies that allowed crime and homelessness to skyrocket. But never fear, my citizens of San Francisco, they didn't save one life doing that. Many of the city's residents, including tech employees now able to work from home, moved elsewhere. As a result, San Francisco has recovered from the pandemic more slowly than any other major city in the U.S. Mayor-elect Daniel Lurie will have his work cut out for him when he takes office next month. The political novice must immediately begin work to close a 2-year San Francisco budget shortfall, now pegged at $876 million. Well, wait till he gets in there. I bet the interest on it's growing daily. The latest fiscal update released on Tuesday by Mayor London Breed's office presents a dire outlook for the city budget, suggesting that closing the deficit will be one of the most difficult and time-consuming challenges facing Lurie after he is inaugurated January 8th. Breed told the departments to plan for permanent general fund spending reductions of 15% starting next fiscal year, though it will be up to Lurie to decide which cuts he's going to adapt. Wow. Okay. Simply put, San Francisco's expenses continue to rise far faster than its revenue. Record high office vacancies, driven by the persistence of remote work, combined with the local hospitality industry's languishing recovery. You mean the fact that it's absolutely dead from the pandemic are weighing on city finances. But at the same time, salary and benefits for city employees are growing. And some ballot measures approved by voters will increase government costs or reduce revenue in the near term. San Francisco's woes are compounded by the fact that it received, I am shedding tears, a whopping $636 million from the federal government under President Joe Biden's America Rescue Plan. The $1.9 trillion spending package that was first major legislative initiative. Biden did a great job. He spread the wealth. The spending kicked off an inflationary spiral while shoveling cash to blue states and cities that not only mismanaged their budgets, but it chased away residents during the pandemic. Rather than use the one-time cash infusion as an opportunity to restructure, now why would you do that? San Francisco continued with business as usual, leading to persistent deficits that now threaten to become a drag on the city's future growth. Mayor-elect Lurie, a wealthy Levi Strauss heir, who has worked in the nonprofit sector, has little experience in tackling such issues, but also has little choice. The centrist Democrat Lurie has an overall plan on how he's going to get San Francisco back to its place that it once had. We all remember the San Francisco that you left your heart in. Well, it is no more. And yeah, they stamped all over your heart and crushed it. But Lurie has decided that it doesn't have to be that way. More mayors than ever should look at his plan. He's going to no longer allow tents on the street. He will send homeless back to where they came from. He wants to provide mental health care for individuals that need it. He wants to empower the police to assume their duties without repercussion. Now, is this new? My audience, this is what leadership looks like. This is what we need to do for our cities and our streets. You can't eliminate homelessness. You have to work to clean it up. San Francisco has been known to homeless people all across the United States as the place to go. Instead of tourism, they attracted homeless people. I saw a video once of a man having lunch on a patio in San Francisco. And outside the patio of the street was a man pooping right beside the dining public. And that is the only picture you need, my audience. But I am a simple woman. Can I ask you a simple question? Who in this picture is out of control? Is it the homeless man? Or is it the man that's pooping? Is it the man that's eating lunch? When we stand for chaos, we stand for absence of laws and rules that govern a normal society. How did we get here? Because we've been beat over the head time and time again with the same hammer. You have to be humane. Okay, well, let's just take that into consideration, my homies from San Francisco. and all cities that are standing for the rights of citizens to squat, to shoot up, to panhandle, to defecate, and to obstruct the way of life for others? How has that improved your life? How has that improved their lives? How is that humane? I have a recommendation for you. Oh, I see your bleeding heart is dripping all over the rug. You, my audience, are the way to the way of life that we were gifted to in this country. When we gave up all of our rights to live free and fair, just so that people could live in filth and excrement, we were the ones that needed our heads examined. Those of you in San Francisco need to contact your new mayor and tell him, hold one of those mental health beds for you. Give it up for Mr. Lurie. He is taking the salary of $1. And no, he is not from a middle-class neighborhood.
Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
Welcome back. Here we are at the Double B Studios. We're in the home of Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, and I want you to know, how can this happen is on to something. We're going to be working through all the bits and pieces of the war we're in the middle of. Because we haven't won the war yet. We have just begun to fight. Don't forget, my audience, just because we elected Trump doesn't mean our job is over. So let me inspire you with a little bit of what is happening as a result of that. It does have a downhill effect. So commit a crime, get deported before doing the time. Mayor Eric Adams said on Tuesday that he's open to deporting migrants from New York City who have been charged with crimes. A shift from his past stance of waiting for convictions before shipping off immigrant criminals. Now, Adams said that he soon plans to meet with President-elect Donald Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, on the incoming administration's plans to potentially deport accused migrant criminals. You've got a guy, he's on camera shooting at a police officer, he said, referring to Bernardo Castro Mata, a 19-year-old from Venezuela, who illegally crossed into the United States before allegedly shooting 2 NYPD officers. Adams went on to say, cancel me because I'm going to protect the people of the city. Now, the mayor's newfound openness to hardline actions comes as the Big Apple, a city defined by the immigrant experience, where the Statue of Liberty beckons the huddled masses yearning to breathe free, braces for Trump's promised mass deportations and other crackdowns. Now, Homan recently told the Post that he wants the incoming administration to withhold federal funding from sanctuary jurisdictions such as New York City. He has also warned that the Big Apple leaders won't be able to stop the feds from deporting migrant criminals. Now, if we get assistance from New York City, we may have to double the number of agents we send to New York, he had said on Fox and Friends last month, because we're going to do the job with you or without you. So Eric Adams said, I want to make it clear I'm not going to war with this administration. I'm going to be working with this administration. Now, I'd like to speak with our border czar and find out what his plans are, where our common grounds are, and how we can work together. Now, that's a different tune coming from a leftist mayor. Now, Adams was, by the way, my audience, a former NYPD captain, and he has publicly played good cop, bad cop on immigration issues, even before Trump's electoral victory. He has pushed for compassion for the 200,000 migrants who flowed into New York City over recent years. And he presided, I'll bet begrudgingly, over $6.4 billion with a B in spending for food, shelter, and other services. I see a pattern here. I want to make a note of the mayors that want to work with the administration on the crisis of too many migrants in this country. I want to say that some of the mayors and governors from the left have said they will not cooperate with Trump's border czar in deporting criminals. Now, I beg you, my audience, who is the criminal here? Is there a criminal in the woodpile that no one sees? I would say you could doubt your own eyes. But then, my audience, who is the problem? Why are we ignoring the elephant in the room? Is it because we're so immune to truth and facts? No. It's because we don't accept the truth and the facts. We have so long ignored what wasn't acceptable that we accept all that is abhorrent and unacceptable. Time to say, cannot ignore it anymore. We can't pass it on. It stinks. It's immoral. It's not safe, and it's downright disgusting. The number of American citizens still outnumber the number of non-citizens, so far as we can figure today, but they want you to think that you have to give in for the sake of a non-citizen. Have you ever heard of such nonsense? And they double down on it every day. We can be so easily swayed. I get that. But it's time. It's way past time. The tsunami wave is going back out to sea. For all of us to stop thinking we aren't allowed. We can think for ourselves, but I'm tired of playing dead so that people can feel good about themselves when others are paying the price for their ignorance. You thought I was going to leave you with that. Not. I have a solution. I'm not without a brain to call on. Resources that you knew I had. But I didn't know it. When I come back, I'm gonna tell you all a dirty little secret.
Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome back to How Can This Happen with Betsey Bell here at the Double B Studios. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, the home of the best stadium in the world, Allegiant. It's really nice. You know, the Allegiant Stadium has a crappy team that plays there called the Raiders. Someday they'll get a coach. So, onward and upward from my dirty little secret to this is what we're going to have to do to get ourselves in order. Because the left has a bunch of plans for us. But what we're going to do is show them. So MSNBC President Rashida Jones might flee the network now that ratings have bottomed out and President-elect Donald Trump is about to dominate the news cycle for another 4 years. What's so bad about that? Everybody had all these ratings. Whenever he's around, he gets ratings. Oh, now this woman who's going to flee is a black woman, so why is she going to bolt now? They can't do that as MSNBC suffers a steep ratings drop in the wake of Donald Trump's election victory. Network president Rashida Jones is considering a possible exit from the job early next year. Oliver Darcy reported on Tuesday. According to Darcy, a spokesperson for Jones denied the report. NBC Universal representatives had no comment. But citing unnamed sources close to the matter, Darcy wrote in this status newsletter that her potential exit would only come at some point after Trump is sworn in for his second term on January 20th, 2025. Now, have you ever heard of a reason to stop bashing Trump? Let's assume this report is accurate, which is always a risk, but hey, it's almost Friday, so let's have some fun. That's what the author Nolte said, not me, but it's kind of funny. But it sure sounds like me. I'm for fun, and it's no fun if you can't bash Trump, because then I wouldn't have anything to talk about. But who is going to be the new foil for the left? Rats. They can't whine anymore. Jones took over from Phil Griffin in 2021, and her tenure is considered a success. Even though the marker for that success is CNN, LOL. Jones may well remain in the job where, for the most part, she has had a very highly successful tenure. The report continued. Jones led the network to several historic firsts and wins over rival CNN, including on election night when MSNBC topped CNN in the ratings. For presidential election night coverage for the first time ever. Under Griffin's management since 2008 until 2020, MSNBC had overtaken CNN in both the primetime and morning time periods. Griffin has orchestrated the launch of many successful programs, including Morning Joe, The Rachel Maddow Show, The Ed Show, The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, The Shit Show. Oh, no, he wasn't responsible for that one. Additionally, the network launched a new branding campaign called Lean Forward, which embodies MSNBC's mission to help move America into the future. You know what, my audience? They are serious. They at MSLSD moved America forward. They really did. They misstated their mission by a whole lot. They meant to say lean left, and they did. So far left they ran off a cliff. And now the audience is looking down this monster chasm at the wrecked vehicle below. It's over. Looks like a fatality to me. Jones later worked, this is her career, by the way, before she was hired at MSLSD, worked at WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina as a news director. That's a big job. Then she moved to New York City as an executive producer for daytime shows at MSNBC. Later roles included managing editor at MSNBC and senior vice president of specials for NBC News and MSNBC, in which she also managed dayside and weekend news programming on MSNBC, as well as leading coverage of breaking news and major events across NBC News and MSNBC. So on February 1st, 2021, Jones succeeded Phil Griffin as the president of MSNBC and became, make sure you put this in quotes, the first African-American woman to run a major cable news network. That's what they said anyway. All we can gather from this minor mistake in hiring is the best woman for the job is that you're qualified if you are black. But the description of her talent doesn't indicate as such. So what color are you? This woman had 1/10 the talent of Griffin, and she's placed as the president of the network. Can we just take a step back here? I have seen this very much recently. And when it comes to talent, there is no better source than the left in this country. But what they didn't count on is a second term of Donald Trump. Now what? Well, this is what they're gonna do. They have you convinced that they are right and we are wrong. Well, I hate to break it to them, but they are wrong because they are left and we are right. So where does that leave us? Fighting. Here is the dirty little secret, my audience. They are going to say that they are moving to the right because that is where they have been all along. And that you were just stupid because you didn't understand them. I understand them just fine. I just don't care who gets credit as long as something gets done. So let's just do it. Right-wing nuts. Let's fix it all. And Democrats will play with their songbook until they can sing for their supper saying that it was all their idea. And that's the only way that it can go our way. Once they see that no one is with them, they will follow us. They will claim that it was their idea all along. So let them. We know the truth. So who cares? And remember, my audience, Who's been running this show for the last 4 years?